G'day there guys, gals and cobbers, it's your boy Markee with another episode of r/olderthanyouthinkiam. Now if you've got any embarrassing stories for being accused of being younger or older than you are, feel free to tune into this and tell me what you think about it. Our first story is by user Alex Moody 1994, titled Shaken Not Stored. I didn't know this category existed when I first wrote this. Around 2 years ago, I was Christmas shopping with my older sister and brother-in-law. We were at Home Goods, and to anyone who's been, you know that they have their cashier area set up like a little maze filled with things that they're trying to sell/get rid of. It's usually junk or candy that's about to expire. The thing that had caught my eye was brass-plated cocktail shakers that showed the different things you need to make different kinds of cocktails. The cast are entitled lady, me, Dud, OS, older sister, and brother-in-law. I should also mention I am at the time of this event 23 and female, in jeans, dark green Chuck Taylors, a pixie cut with a dark grey beanie and a maroon hoodie, with a baby face. So the entitled lady says to me, "Excuse me, but isn't he a little young to be looking at a cocktail shaker?" So I say, "Excuse me?" I look back at my older sister and brother-in-law. Elderly lady says, "He's too young to be reading how to make a Manhattan." Me and older sister say, "She is 23 and a girl." Elderly lady turns back around and minds her own damn business. Like you should! Mind your own business, beer! Our next story was posted by user Mocha Latte Man, titled, Liquor store cashier messed up my ID. I got a free 6-pack. I'm old, aren't we all? When I was 19, I was legal to drink in Minnesota. Back then, there weren't all the security and anti-forgery items on IDs as there are all now. Back then, it was easy to slip in a duplicate photo of yourself into an otherwise legit ID. Most bars, liquor stores, clubs, etc. knew this trick. My second or third time buying beer for myself at a liquor store, I plopped the 6-pack of MHL in the counter and presented my ID. The cashier immediately took out a small razor, split the 2 laminated layers, and attempted to remove the picture. I was like, "What the hell?" He responded that he knew my ID was fake, since I'm all of 16. I protested that it was real and that I'm 19. He then quizzed me regarding the information. When I answered the name, date of birth, address info correctly, he still wasn't convinced. He then called for the owner. The owner looked at me, checked the ID, and asked the same quiz. Once I told him my name, he then asked, "Oh, are you related to 5X? I answered that he's my dad. The owner then smiled and said, "I know him, and I know he has a son the same age as my daughter." Turning to the cashier, "Bag up this man's purchase, it's on the house." And to me he says, "Sorry to mess up your ID, here's $8 for a new one. Shop here from now on." Hey, that's a good way to secure people working in your shop, I like that. Let's see what people in the comments have to say. Pretty sure, in most, if not all states, it is illegal to damage and destroy government property, which most IDs are, assuming driver's license. The trick is, here, is if it is fake, then it isn't government property. They shouldn't do it regardless because of cases like this when it turns out real. $8 for a new one seems like it hardly covers the hassle of getting a new one. I assume this is before the days of just going to the DMV website, entering your credit card number, and getting a replacement in the mail a few days later. So they said it was 1986. $8 was the standard rate for a new card. I just went to the DPS. Here in Minnesota, it's the DPS, not DMV. We just have to be different. I told them it was damaged. I presented the damaged card, got a new photo taken, and they got me a replacement within a few days. So someone says Texas is DPS too. I know that because a friend of mine just got a parking ticket at the DPS, while not parked, but just stopped to let people cross the road. There were a lot of people, so stupid. She didn't want to argue because she's here on a work visa and terrified of getting kicked out. She's a PhD scientist trying to cure cancer. And our next story was posted by user TrollingQueen74, titled, Where is your parent? I am a foster parent to teenage girls. At this point, I had a 16-year-old living with me, and I was 28. My daughter had several biological siblings in other homes, but one Saturday, I took the oldest four to a meeting in their home city. The plan was to meet up with their social worker and her boss afterward to go clothes shopping for the kids. After the meeting, I found the social worker and we were chatting with her when her boss, who I had not met yet, walked up. She said hi, then asked, "I thought your foster parent was coming with you today. Is she gonna meet you out front?" She thought that I was one of the kids. This still baffles me to this day, since they are all Hispanic and I'm so white I practically glow in the dark. Later that year, after turning 29, I went to a middle school open house for my 13-year-old foster daughter. I left her at home and went by myself. While I was wandering around looking at the various after-school activities, the math teacher stopped me and asked, "Would you like to join the math club? You would only have to stay after school once a week." I just calmly emphasized, "No, I don't think my daughter would like to join, thanks," and walked away. Whoa, keep on fostering those kids, I love that. And our next story was posted by a user, The Writing Never Ends, titled 2 for 1. So please excuse any errors, I'm posting from my phone. I've been meaning to share this story here ever since I discovered this sub. It occurred quite a few days ago when I was just 16. First of all, I have a rather round babyish face and I'm very short, so I'm often mistaken as a good bit younger than I am. My brother, who is 15 years older than I am, has the opposite problem. He began balding young and was often mistaken as someone much older. His wife, however, is the same size as me, and also has a baby face, despite being a year older than he is. So when I was 16, we went out for a big extended family dinner at a nice restaurant. When we sat down, it just so happened that I sat on one side of my brother with his wife on his other side. The fun part was when the waitress asked if my brother needed kids' menus for either of his girls, assuming his wife and I were his daughters. I thought my brother's head was going to explode. He turned so red. He's a good guy, and I could tell he's trying not to get upset, despite being upset by it. But he couldn't keep all the irritation completely out of his voice when he explained, "This is my sister, and that is my wife." The poor waitress was mortified, and the whole dinner ended up being awkward and uncomfortable. Oh, that sucks. Our next story was posted by user James WPTV, titled, "Cop Thinks It's Fake and Threatens Arrest." Just found this post and I have to go back to the age of 22. I'm 45 now, but I look 30. I looked very young when I was old enough to drink and got carded a lot. I got off work on a Friday night and was meeting friends for a birthday thing at a club that was 21 and older. I've never been there and friends were already inside. I know I'm getting carded and already have my wallet out. Now, I don't mind getting carded, but get irritated when it questioned over and over again. The door guy asked for I had it to him, he look at it for a sec and says no. I tell him I know I look young, but it is real. He tries to push me out of line and pockets my ID. I at this point start to raise my voice. "I'm freaking 22, give me my ID back." He tells me he's gonna have me arrested for having a fake ID. I tell him to call the damn cops, then that I want my ID. I didn't know a cop was about 30 feet away walking towards the commotion I was starting. Doorman gives my ID to the cop, and the cop looks at it and tells me he can arrest me for having a fake ID. Already ticked, I look at him, putting my wrists together and go, "Go ahead and arrest me if you think my ID is fake." I was dead serious about going to jail and suing the club and the cop. He gets on his radio and called my ID in. After confirming it was real, he gives it to the door guy and walks away. No sorry, no oops. Door guy says that he's not letting me in. Just then, a friend who I was meeting walked out and explained, "Oh, we're here for my 22nd birthday." 13 people from work were there waiting on me. I let my friend know I won't be going in now, even if I was let in. He let everyone know that he was going, and we all left the pool hall around the block. Frick that club, and never went there again. And our last story was posted by user Cheshire Witch, titled, "No, I am not a high school student." So I recently started college classes for construction, and they happened to be held at a high school. We are in a building dedicated to college courses though. Every period, the majority of the class are high school students, with only myself and one other being actual college students. I'm also a non-traditional student, meaning I'm older than your average college-enrolled student. I've been in this class for about 3 weeks now, and I've sort of sit alone and keep to myself for the most part. The high school students just ignore my existence. Until I started chiming in on their conversations. Here are some of my favorite interactions. Student says, "Wait, you have kids?" I'm like, "Yeah, I have 4. How old are you?" Guess. 19? 20? 22? 26? No, I'm 30. So the student runs to their friend and says, Dude, how old do you think she is?" And the student's friend goes, "She's 19, screw off." And he's like, "No dude, she's 30. And he's like, "Bullcrap. Girl, he says you're 30, he's lying." I proceed to show my license to them, and stunned silence envelops the whole class. Another time, students in the 9th and 10th graders are joking about how so not a virgin they are, right next to my table. I decide to have some fun and I say, "Well, I have 4 kids, so I'm definitely not a virgin." They have the shocked Pikachu faces. Of course, I explained my age to them, and this time my teacher was listening with amusement. And they said, "I told y'all that this is a college course. Students can be as old as me." I also got asked a few times by students in other classes in the building if I attended this high school, or another one. I've been having way too much fun with it and making them all guess my age for kicks. Mind you, I didn't realize I come off as young, but I do have blue hair, tattoos, and many facial piercings, so I assumed I seemed at least old enough to get them on my own. Apparently not, and it cracks me up. Also, Meg's getting carded every time I buy smokes makes sense, while my husband is never even carded for alcohol, and he's younger than me. Just overall amusing as heck. Side note, the kids have started talking to me more, and we all get along pretty well. They luckily don't see me as the mum, but as just another relatable older student. It's nice not feeling like the awkward one in the corner anymore. Mrs. Walsh 0715 says, "Oh lol, I'm only 22. People generally see me as 15 to 16 when they first meet me, but I always end up becoming the mum of the group. Whether it's friends or co-workers or what have you. My co-workers actually call me the grandma because there's another mum friend that works here, but she's a couple years younger, so she gets the mum title." And Lazy Attempt says, "I had to deal with similar situations with the high school kids going to college concurrently. I was a slightly older student at that college due to having to wait until my mother no longer had to be a co-signer for finances. She wouldn't sign for the schools that I wanted to go to, and I often got mistaken for a high school kid by the high school kids. Still get mistaken for high school age, and it's been at least a good 10 years since I graduated." Anyway guys, if you enjoyed that episode, tell me what you thought of it down in the description down below. More episodes like this coming out every single day, so tell me what you think of it. Hope you have a good day, night, evening, and asleep. And I'll see you in the next episode. Bye.